Do you think you could tell what time of year it was just by looking outside? It's actually spring, but it feels like summer, and it could just as easily be early autumn or a really warm winter's day. In a suburban environment, especially up here on the north coast, surrounded by buildings and introduced species, it's hard to tell what time of year it is, because we use a system of 4 3-month seasons based on the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. These are called the celestial seasons, and we've borrowed them from the Northern Hemisphere. There are only a few places in the world that actually get 4 distinct seasons, and Australia isn't one of them. What makes sense in Finland or Canada just doesn't work here. Spring, summer, fall, and winter are not the only seasons, and you will have heard people talking about different kinds of seasons. How about the whale watching season, the netball season, the mango season? A season is just a time in the year. And we are so conditioned to thinking about the celestial seasons that we forget there are different ways to divide the year up into segments. Besides, knowing what time of year it is doesn't even matter that much anymore, because regardless of the season, you can be sure that someone will remember to go shopping and you can look forward to a good dinner tonight. The concept of 4 seasons would have seemed very strange, even foolish to Aboriginal people who relied on a series of signs or indications from the plants and animals they shared the world with to understand what time of year it really was. Flowers make good indicators because in Australia there are plants flowering throughout the year. For example, when the bloodwood trees were flowering, in what we would now call January or February, it was the best time to hunt rainforest pigeons or water birds like ducks, because those animals would be full of fat at that time of year, and fat was a precious commodity. Every 4th time the bloodwoods flowered, the whole community would pack up and head for the Bunya Mountains to feast on the rich pine nuts that only form every 4 years. Once the bloodwoods had finished flowering, the paperbark trees would begin to blossom, and the leaves would change color and fall off the red cedar trees. This was the sign to stop hunting for a while and head over to the Tweed River to start fishing for sea mullet that would be coming in from the ocean. When whales were spotted heading north and the banksia trees were in bloom, attention would turn to repairing the fish traps in the estuaries to catch the schools of bream that had formed out at sea and were now headed back inshore to breed. The sight of forest red gum flowers would have caused excitement among the children, who would start looking for the telltale sign of fine sawdust at the base of the gum trees. This meant that the fat eucalypt wood grubs were mature, and these were a nutritious treat when they were chipped out of the wood with a stone axe. Pretty soon, the whales would be seen heading back down south with their calves, just as the silky oaks were coming into their bright orange flowers. This was the time that people would meet up in big groups to fish for salmon at the mouth of the Ballina River. Finally, as the Christmas bells blossomed and the first big thunderstorms formed in the sky, it was time to gather oysters from the rocks and collect bush turkey eggs. The 6 seasons overlapped with each other and were divided into sub-seasons. But when all the information was put together, it formed what we would call an almanac, or a set of annual instructions telling people what to do. Having a deep understanding of the 6 seasons improved the efficiency of hunting and gathering by directing energy into procuring the highest quality food. Fishing for salmon when the bloodwood trees were in flower would be wasted effort when you could be eating a nice fat duck. So now you know. The Aboriginal people in Australia use natural indicators from their local area to divide the year into practical, useful seasons rather than relying on the relatively meaningless spring, summer, fall, and winter.
Always was, always will be.